Heading into the 2017 NFL season, few fan bases had suffered more over the course of the last half century than that of the Philadelphia Eagles. And when it came to championship droughts, the Cardinals had gone the longest without a championship, followed by the Lions and the Eagles in third. Philly hadn't won a football championship since 1960, 6 years before the merger of the NFL and the AFL and the advent of the Super Bowl. Over the course of the next 57 years, championship opportunities were few and far between for the Eagles. In 1980, they beat the Cowboys in the NFC Championship Game, but lost to the Oakland Raiders in Super Bowl 15. In 2004, they beat the Falcons in the NFC Championship Game, but lost to Tom Brady and the New England Patriots in Super Bowl 39. And that's pretty much it. The only thing Eagles fans had to celebrate since 1960 was a decisive victory over Santa Claus in the infamous snowball fight of 1968. Few people thought the 2017 Eagles would be any different. The Eagles got off to a promising start to the season, going 10-2 under second-year quarterback Carson Wentz. But when Wentz suffered a torn ACL against the Rams in Week 14, that was supposed to be it for Philly. Without their superstar quarterback, their season was done. Finished, it was over. But then, the impossible happened. The Eagles turned to backup quarterback Nick Foles. The same Nick Foles the Eagles dumped only 3 years earlier, and a good season turned into a fairy tale. Foles led the Eagles to a victory in 2 of their final 3 regular season games. Then, he led them to playoff victories over the Falcons and the Vikings before turning in an MVP performance against the Patriots in Super Bowl 52. It was a feel-good story for the ages. And when they look back at it years from now, there's one magical play from Super Bowl 52 that will stand out above all the others as the play that epitomizes the spirit of the 2017 Eagles. And that play, of course, is the Philly Special. One of the most shocking, ballsiest plays in Super Bowl history. With less than a minute left in the first half, a rookie running back took a snap on 4th and goal and pitched the ball to a third-string tight end who threw the first pass of his NFL career to the backup quarterback who caught his first touchdown pass since high school and became the first player in NFL history to throw and catch a touchdown pass in the Super Bowl. Whew, that was hard. The Philly Special may not have been the winning touchdown, but it was iconic. And it seems most Eagles fans are already of the opinion that it's the greatest play in Philly sports history. One fan got the diagram of the play tattooed on his forearm, another got personalized license plates. One couple reenacted the Philly Special at their wedding. Another couple reenacted it to reveal the gender of their baby. Of course, immediately after Super Bowl 52, the Philly Special was all reporters wanted to talk about. Who came up with it? Who named it? How long had the Eagles been sitting on it? Who called it? And as it turns out, the true origin of the Philly Special is more interesting than anybody could have imagined. The first thing we learned about the Philly Special was that the Philadelphia Eagles didn't come up with it. They got it from the Chicago Bears, who successfully ran the play during a blowout loss to the Minnesota Vikings in 2016. In that game, the last of the season, the 3-12 Bears were trailing the Vikings 17-0 with less than 2 minutes remaining in the first half. So, unlike the Eagles in Super Bowl 52, the Bears had absolutely nothing to lose. On a 3rd and goal from the Vikings 2-yard line, running back Jeremy Langford took a snap and pitched the ball to wide receiver Cameron Meredith, who threw a perfect pass to Matt Barkley, who was all alone in the exact same end zone where Nick Foles would score his touchdown 2 years later. According to former Eagles offensive coordinator Frank Reich, who's now the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts, quality control coach Press Taylor saw the Bears run that play in 2016 and filed it away in his extensive catalog of trick plays he keeps for rainy days. But the Bears didn't invent the play either. The year before they ran it against the Vikings, the New England Patriots ran it against the Eagles. What? The Pats didn't run the Philly Special on the goal line. They ran it from their own 25 on a 3rd and 3, but it still worked. And on this occasion, Brady actually caught the pass and picked up 35 yards. So was it New England coach Bill Belichick who invented the play? Obviously, that would be amazing, but the answer is no. The Patriots didn't invent the Philly Special either. Right after the Eagles won the Super Bowl, Texas Longhorns quarterback Sam Ehlinger tweeted a video of him running the play in 2015, back when he was quarterback at Westlake High in Austin, Texas, which also happens to be where Nick Foles went to high school. According to Westlake coach Todd Dodge, he'd been using that play since 2014. So where did all these teams get the play from? They got it from the 2012 Clemson Tigers. Former Clemson offensive coordinator Chad Morris added the play, which he called Detroit, to his playbook prior to the 2012 season and waited patiently for just the right time to use it. That time finally came on October 6th against Georgia Tech. Early in the fourth quarter, Clemson quarterback Taj Boyd threw a touchdown to DeAndre Hopkins. However, in an effort to put a little more distance between the Tigers and Yellow Jackets, Dabo Swinney decided to go for a two-point conversion. Andre Ellington took the snap and pitched it to DeAndre Hopkins, who found a wide-open Taj Boyd in the end zone. The Bears, Pats, and Westlake High all say they took their inspiration from this play. Todd Dodge called his version the Money 5, but former Bears offensive coordinator Dow Loggins says he called it the Clemson Special. And when the Patriots ran it in 2015, you could actually hear Tom Brady call out Clemson. Clemson! The announcers calling the 2012 Clemson-Georgia Tech game were really impressed when Clemson used it. They praised Chad Morris as a genius, speculating that it probably came to him in a dream. But it's time for another twist in our story, because guess what? That's right, Chad Morris didn't come up with the play either. We tricked you. We got you. As it turns out, the play was originally created by a high school football coach named Hunter Spivey. A former assistant at Coastal Carolina in 2011, Hunter Spivey was hired to build a football program from the ground up at a brand new school in South Carolina, originally called Gray Military Academy, but now called Gray Collegiate Academy. Spivey loves it when a trick play comes together. In fact, as he explained to Sports Illustrated, he'd take a good trick play over a boring old touchdown drive any day. He says there's something about a trick play that's more satisfying. Early in his inaugural season at Gray Military Academy, Spivey cooked up a new trick play designed specifically for use at the goal line. He called the play Detroit, with the D standing for direct snap. But how did Clemson's Chad Morris get the play? From a cocktail napkin. This story is almost too good to be true. In 2012, Hunter Spivey attended a South Carolina coaching clinic. While there, he managed to strike up a conversation with Chad Morris. The two say they were just having a great old time talking X's and O's when Spivey told Morris about this Detroit play. Then he drew the play up on a napkin and dared Morris to use it. Morris promised he would. But when he took the napkin home, he realized it seems too simple. There had to be something more to it. 2 weeks later, Morris called Spivey up and asked him what the secret was. And Spivey explained that the key to the play is the body language of the quarterback and the tone of his voice. He can't give anything away as he shouts instructions to the offensive line. And he's got to line up facing the line, calm and composed, not giving a hint that he's going to take off for the end zone. And he's got to pause long enough after the snap to convince the defensive line that he's not going anywhere. And the Eagles have been practicing the Philly Special, aka the Clemson Special, aka Detroit, for a long time, waiting for the right night to use it. Eagles offensive coordinator Frank Reich says that time almost came against the Vikings in the NFC Championship Game. But a few things ultimately prevented him from pulling the trigger. First, Reich knew the Bears had run the play against the Vikings the year before, so there was some concern that the Vikings might recognize it. Second, and most importantly, the NFC Championship Game turned into a blowout by the end of the first half. And to use the Philly Special at that point would have been both unsportsmanlike and wasteful. Luckily, the perfect opportunity presented itself at Super Bowl 52. And on a 3rd and 1 from the Patriots' 1-yard line with 41 seconds to go, Nick Foles threw an incomplete pass intended for Alshon Jeffrey. At that point, the safe thing to do, the most obvious thing to do, would have been to send out the field goal team and take a 6-point halftime lead into the locker room. But Doug Peterson didn't want to play it safe. He knew he couldn't play it safe, not against Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. So he decided the Eagles were going to go for it on 4th down.
We're going for it right here. We're going for it right here.
Well, that's a no-brainer. He ain't going to go for it.
The only question was, what play would they run? That's when Nick Foles came over to him and suggested the Philly freaking Special.
You want Philly food?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Of course, the Eagles could have had any number of players run the Philly Special. However, they didn't want to risk tipping anybody off that something sneaky was afoot. So weeks before the Super Bowl, they picked up a couple of guys nobody would expect to see out there in such a high-stakes situation. Corey Clement, an undrafted rookie who barely did anything in the regular season. And to make the throw, the Eagles put Trey Burton out there. Why Burton? Yeah, he was a high school quarterback and a pitcher, but he hadn't thrown a single pass prior to this game, so they weren't expecting it. As for Nick Foles, He hadn't been thrown a pass since his freshman year at Arizona. Clement, Burton, and Foles practiced the Philly special in secret, closed-door walkthrough practices in their hotel meeting room in Minnesota prior to the NFC Championship Game. And in the 2 weeks leading up to Super Bowl 52 also. Those practice conditions certainly weren't ideal, and there was a pretty steep learning curve for everyone involved. But eventually, they got the hang of it, and when the moment finally came, they pulled off one of the biggest and best trick plays in NFL history. So what about Hunter Spivey, the real genius behind the Philly special? His former players were pretty damn pleased to see their coach get some much-deserved recognition for the role he played in one of the most iconic football plays of all time. As for Spivey himself, he got a pretty big kick out of the whole thing. Foles would have probably got an 80% from me, Spivey explained to Sports Illustrated. If you notice the way his chest was pointing to the sideline, that's not natural. A savvy defender would say, hey, that guy's trying to slip out to the flats. Hopefully Foles remembers that the next time he runs the play in the Super Bowl.